chatbot tutors that can help build background knowledge and scaffold learning. If that's what you signed up for, I hope you're ready for a whirlwind on AI. Actually, this is the second time doing this presentation. I did a little bit of this yesterday. Actually, it was a little bit lengthier yesterday with the specialized services group at CISA 2. And so so I learned a little bit yesterday. I made some assumptions of where people were at in terms of their AI literacy and AI knowledge, and I won't make that mistake again. So I will be asking you a little bit of a question about where you're at in your AI goal. But when I was done with that presentation, I kind of made this comment because they were kind of asking questions about, schools using AI and whether they should or shouldn't. And I said that AI, according to the secondary ed and universities, that AI might be maybe accelerating shifts in education where content really is not the end goal of the education experience, but that critical thinking and problem solving is. And the true question is, are schools going to embrace this new paradigm and keep up with it? And the educator said, Frank, you should have led with that. So she said, tomorrow when you go in front of the new group, lead with that. So I changed my slides. I talked to Kathy. I said, I need to add a slide. So there it is. So AI is taking over a lot of the production of job production, but it's also, what students can produce. And so that's a big concern out there is, obviously, that students are just going to use it to cheat or to plagiarize things. Or plagiarize AI, which is really a weird terminology there because it's not even a human. But anyway, I have a link here for you. If you click on the slide 10's link, this bit.ly, or you can type in bit.ly on a new browser tab, and then bit.ly/ and then ATCOP inquiry, all lowercase because bit.lys are case sensitive. It will take you to this little sandbox Padlet right here, and you could click a Post-it note right here. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Put it in the chat. You could click a Post-it note here, and you could put in, like, what is your experiencing using AI and LLMs, large language models? What is your comfort level? What's your experience? What have you used them for? How have you seen them being used? So go ahead and put a couple of those in there, and we'll get a feel for the group and you have to hit enter, I think, when you're done typing, and then the Post-it notes will show up. But it's always nice for me. I'm going to give you a little bit of AI literacy no matter what. Anytime I teach school districts and educators about AI, I like to kind of give them a little background on some literacy in terms of ethics, in terms of prompting. If those Post-it notes aren't working, feel free to just jot it in the chat because I know Kathy is monitoring that chat. Oh, there we go. Now they're starting to show up. Teachers using it for engagement, instructional tutorials. Love it, love it. And so we have more and more popping up. There we go. I'll give you a minute or so to kind of jot that in there if you like, but feel free to use the chat as well. That works. Used for accessibility. Nice. Oh, IEP and PLOP goals. Comfortable exploring, but not an expert. Love it. Use Brisk. Brisk is a one we'll talk about today. Nice. So different districts are using different models. Danielle said IEP goals. So there's a fair amount of usage and understanding of it. I have an inclusion activity. If you're willing to share, this is kind of a funny and silly one. if you're willing and you've used ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or Brisk or whatever one you want. We did this yesterday, and some of the people were almost in tears because they asked the AI, it could be Microsoft Copilot, whichever one you're comfortable using, ask it to write an outrageous and unbelievable biography about you and give it some descriptions of you. If it were Stacy, it would be a hiker who's also a special educator and trainer around the state extraordinaire, and it would write a short little autobiography about her. Kathy, it could be up in a cabin up north, assistive technology expert. And then you could use those. And then tell it, like, maybe make it like 500 words, or you could say 5 paragraphs, but it'll write a little bit of an autobiography about you. And we're going to give you about a minute or two. And then I would love for 1 or 2 or 3 of you to unmute and read your favorite line or the title of the autobiography it gives you, and share with the group a little bit of creative magic that AI can write about you. Well, thank you for sharing, everyone. I'm going to go over a quick little roadmap. We're going to do a quick review of the importance of AI literacy for educators and students. We'll talk about the skill of prompt engineering and how to prompt. We'll look at a few of the leading AI educational resources and chatbots impacting classrooms. And we'll analyze how educators are leveraging these tools to scaffold learning and create inquiry-based chatbot sessions. Now, when I say chatbot, what does that mean to people? Like, I kind of, before I go into it, I just want to ask that question. Does everyone know what I mean when I say chatbot, as opposed to saying something like AI, like the difference maybe between a chatbot and maybe ChatGPT or Google Gemini? Okay, Susie, does anyone have a distinction between those? Yeah, so Amy put in the chat, a chatbot is automatically programmed with responses. So yes, you have a bank of possibilities. So you're training the AI to give specific responses. So a chatbot could be trained to only talk about squirrels, right? So you could feed it thousands and thousands of data points and pages of information about squirrels, and then tell it only to be a chatbot that only talks about squirrels and teaches the audience. So anything that the audience asks about cars, it's not going to answer, and it's going to say, I really only know about squirrels. So it's a specifically designed, I would say, a small language model, not a large language model like ChatGPT or Gemini. It's a very central, like very focused chatbot that you can train it to just really talk about a specific topic. So let's say I had a class, like my science classroom that I used to teach. I could train it with dozens and dozens of science textbooks, and then say, only answer from these. Don't pull information from the World Wide Web. Don't pull information from elsewhere. I only really want you to just specifically be a chatbot that only talks about this topic, right? And using this information. Does that make sense? So when I say chatbot today, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Now, I would be remiss if I did not talk about AI and not include some AI literacy. And when I talk about AI literacy, I always talk about the ethics and biases that exist in AI. And I think we always need to start there, that AI, according to the DPI and their guidance document that came out, we really need to have a human AI human sandwich, right? The human gives a request and gives a prompt. The AI will give a response, and the human needs to analyze that critically, that response, to make sure that there's no harm being done, there's no hallucinations or biases, it's not making things up. And I added a couple pictures on this slide. One is of a parade of Okinawan drummers from Japan. And I was in a webinar with Common Sense Media, which I love the work they do. And the woman presenting, her mother and her grandmother were all Okinawan drummers. And she said, when she asked AI to generate some images, you see down here the second picture. Oops, sorry. The second picture had the drums wrong, had the custom or the traditional garb and the formal celebratory garb was all wrong. And so she said it was perpetuating mistakes and biases about something that was very personal and very important to her about her culture and tradition. So we always have to make sure that when we're using AI, that we're looking out for that. I think students also need some guidance. Students will need guidance of how to use this and when to use this. And so I'm seeing more and more classrooms around the state giving them infographics like the one I shared in this document. These infographics have a red light, yellow light, green light to kind of inform students when it's okay to use AI, and maybe even like a flow chart. I've seen some classrooms and schools create flow charts of when they can use it. If they do use it, they have to be specific about telling the teacher how they're using it, and how they cite it, and to talk about citations. So school districts are doing a much better job of prepping their students and realizing that the students need AI literacy. They need to know what it can do, how it works, the biases, the drawbacks, and then the guidance on how and when they can use it. So I threw that in there for our AI literacy.